The late, great Jim Murray of the Los Angeles Times used to write columns about how gamblers love to see these famous athletes walk onto a golf course or a casino because the gamblers knew they were going to be making a whole lot of money that day because these great athletes are awful, awful, terrible gamblers. They always overestimate their ability outside of their own sport. Well, that's the way it is when reporters go into the hood, especially TV reporters. TV reporters, they take this van full of tens of thousands of dollars in video stuff and cameras and mics and audio and antennae and all this other junk. They go into the hood to cover a story, usually a story about how some black person or black institution is a relentless victim of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. Then they get back to their van and all their stuff is gone, or they get the stuff stolen on the air or on the scene. That's what happened just the other night in Oakland.
Oakland police have arrested 2 suspects they say targeted our crew.
Now, this happened just before 5 o'clock tonight outside the Oakland Public Library.
Reporter Joe Vasquez and his photographer John Anglin were covering the Oakland strike when they were robbed at gunpoint of their camera and tripod. Tonight, the camera has been recovered by police.
Now, their security guard, Matt Meredith, who is a retired Berkeley police officer, was shot in the leg. Joe and John, walk us through what happened.
Hi there, Joe Vasquez, KPIX. I'm here with my colleague John Anglin, who is a photographer with KPIX. We just want everyone to know we are okay. We did have a security guard who was watching us today as we are here on a shoot in East Oakland, and he was shot. It looks like he is going to recover. It was not a life-threatening wound, but it was very shocking. Look, I don't want to mince any words. We're still both shaken up a bit, a bit rattled. Just to give you the quick version of what happened, we brought our camera out here to interview a teacher who was involved in the Oakland school strike. John standing next to the camera, and a man got out of the car and asked you, or what did he say?
He came out of the car with a gun in hand, basically saying, "Give up the camera. I want the camera." I just walked away and said, "Take it. It's yours." So the next thing you know, I hear gunshots.
And what we know is the security guard who is contracted by KPIX was shot. He fired shots back. We're not sure if the armed robber was hit at this point. The police are working very hard. Hats off to the Oakland Police Department. They are working very hard to try and resolve this case, and they're going to interview us yet again. So just wanted to touch base now, and we'll try to talk to you after that interview.
Okay. Thank you for your support.
All right, that was Joe Vasquez and John Anglin. Now, KPIX5's Dahl Lynn is joining us. Oakland police have detained 2 suspects. They say that they were the ones who shot and robbed our crew. And now you have the latest information.
That's right. 1 suspect was arrested at Highland Hospital in Oakland. He walked into the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. Police later determined he was a robbery suspect shot by our security guard. Now, the 2nd suspect was arrested after he crashed his car during a high-speed car chase. The surveillance video gives you a sense of how fast the suspect was driving.
The car was going at least like over 100.
He crashed onto the sidewalk on Bancroft Avenue near Fairfax Avenue in East Oakland just before 7 o'clock. Witnesses say he hit at least 4 to 5 cars.
When that happened, I just seen the car flying. He hit my sister on the left side and made her spun up. She brought her back, you know.
Next thing you know, cops coming in with guns. Guy didn't want to come out. And then we ran back inside because officers told us to go back inside.
Police eventually arrested the driver. He was the only person inside the Lexus sedan. Despite a number of cars involved, witnesses say the driver in the speeding car was the only person injured in this crash. Stephanie Alfaro says her family's parked car was totaled.
Poor thing, can't run anymore, no wheels.
Yeah, here's a quick timeline. Before 5 o'clock, that was when the robbery and shooting happened. Around 5:15, about 15 minutes later, first suspect walked into Highland Hospital. He was arrested. And just before 7 o'clock, the car chased and the arrest of the 2nd suspect. Oakland police say aside from those two suspects. They have also detained several other people connected with this robbery and shooting, and they have also recovered some of the stolen equipment. Guys,
I want to reiterate, John and Joe are okay, shaken, and they'll be obviously helping out in the investigation. And our hearts go out to that guard who watched us diligently. They watch our backs. They are armed, and he turned around and obviously fired shots at that suspect, who then had to go turn himself into the hospital for help.
And
right?
the guard is expected to recover?
Right. He is in stable condition, and we want to reiterate this, that these guards are trained professionals. A lot of these, actually all of them, we understand, are retired police officers here in the Bay Area, and so they're highly trained professionals. But yes, he is in stable condition. That's the good news.
Yeah, I think viewers should know, too, that this is something that we do not infrequently when we're fearful for the security of our crews, to send a security guard along with them. And this is not the first shooting that has happened, right?
Right. This is the second shooting involving a Bay Area news crew here. A few years ago, it happened to another TV station. But, you know, covering the news here in the Bay Area has gotten quite dangerous.
Boy, we haven't seen that guy Da Lin for a while. The last time we saw him, it was in Oakland. It was at a Trader Joe's. No, sorry, Whole Foods. So a guy walks into Whole Foods and he tries to buy he tries to buy dog food with his with food stamps, an EBT card. And he had all his junk up there and had a whole ton of stuff, and most of the stuff he wanted to buy, you weren't eligible to use your food stamps for it. So they said, "Hey, sorry, can't do, my man." He got all pissed off, started threatening, swearing at the cashiers, spitting at the cashiers, threatening the customers. Security guard comes up to him and says, "Hey, you got to go, man." Next thing you know, they're having a really nasty fight. And this guy, the customer, I shouldn't say customer, the guy who was causing all the trouble in Whole Foods was getting the crap beat out of him, and he got hurt pretty badly. Anyway, Da Lin shows up. So Da Lin spent the next couple of days reminding people what a terrible thing happened at Whole Foods and how black people can't go in there without getting hassled and without getting the crap beat out of them for no reason whatsoever. I mean, Da Lin was basically calling for the district attorney to put that guy away for a long time. It never happened. So Da Lin is down with the cause. Sorry, the cause wasn't more down with you, Da Lin. I mean, here's a little clip from a while ago, not that long ago, where a chick's on the air talking about some kind of ballot measure. She's all happy passed. And at the end of the segment, you see the camera go down. They stole the stuff from her while she was on the air. And they made a getaway and like a really expensive, like the guys then hopped into a Mercedes and drove away. They caught him
by a margin of 3-1, and it did not do so well in more conservative areas like the Central Valley. But you can believe that schools up and down the state are breathing a sigh of relief. Live in Oakland, Ann Makovic, CBS 5.
Thanks.
I mean, this has been happening frequently for the last several years. The fellas have been targeting TV people in the hood, whether it's Oakland, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's Washington, D.C., lots and lots of places. I actually did a little takeout on it in one of my books. Here, and it reads something like this. How's that for ingratitude? Members of the media spend a lot of effort pretending that crime in their area has no racial component. So you might think the criminals would show a bit of gratitude and take better care of the people who take such good care of them. No. Just in the last summer, members of the Oakland media have been robbed on several occasions. And we kind of go through some of the headlines. Veteran Oakland Tribune photographer Laura Oden has been robbed twice since July. Late one night in June, a KTVU news crew was robbed of a computer, camera, and tripod by several men who pushed their way into their van parked on Redwood Road in Oakland Hills. And it just goes on and on and on. More stories about TV news crews getting pistol whipped in San Francisco. More stories about in Cleveland. And these there are dozens and dozens of these stories just like this. My favorite one came out of Washington, D.C. No, not this one where the guys go to cover an anti-crime press conference and their van gets robbed while they're covering the anti-crime press conference. No, this one, where the reporters, somebody puts out an app saying, okay, this app is going to help you identify sketchy neighborhoods in your city. So the reporters looked at the app and they said, oh man, what's this guy talking about? These are fine. There's nothing wrong with these neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. So they took their neighborhood took their van to one of the neighborhoods was identified as sketchy, a neighborhood with a high population of fellas and lovely ladies, and let's see what happens next.
Our WUSA 9 crew was robbed in Northwest D.C. Ironically, they were working on a story about an app that warns you about sketchy neighborhoods. Mola Lange and his photographer James Tash, as well as intern Taylor Bishotti, just got back to the station. So tell us what happened, Mola.
Well, Jen, typically we're reporting on these sort of incidents. Tonight, we were the victims of one of these incidents. I'm not going to speak for these guys, but I think I can for just a moment when I say tonight was a heck of a night. I mean, we went through quite a bit. So as you mentioned, we're doing a story on an app that describes sketchy neighborhoods. It led us to the Petworth neighborhood of Northwest. Not going to call it a sketchy neighborhood, but as folks were telling us that, it was a good neighborhood and not much activity happens around there, as that was being told to us, our van was being robbed. So this is what happened. We got back to the news van, noticed that our lock was popped out, got in there, and noticed that all of our stuff was gone. I had a backpack full of electronics, work-related electronics, a laptop. Hash, what'd you have in there? This is James Hash, by the way, photographer. You had 2 backpacks stolen.
Yeah, laptop, all my photo gear, a couple small cameras that we use from time to time. It was just a disaster.
Gear that you had built up over a career.
A career
Of being a photographer. 15 years. And Taylor, you had some stuff stolen.
Had a purse, a wallet, iPad, cracked iPhone.
For all the time they spend in denial, deceit, and delusion about the level of black crime and violence, there have been tons of reporters who have been a victim of it on and off the job. Thinking of a guy in D.C., he worked for CNN. He was a producer. He used to walk to work, maybe a half a mile. He had to walk, he had to skirt the hood for about 2 blocks. Well, that didn't last long. The fellas caught up with him at like 4:30 a.m., beat the hell out of him. It was one of these deals where there's lots of plates and lots of broken bones and the whole thing. Yeah, I think he moved out of D.C. shortly after that. There was a story. It's funny. The NPR affiliate national show. They did a show talking about the knockout game.
Please, sir. I want some more.
And they said, no, knockout game doesn't exist. Just Colin Flaherty made that all up. And so they put it on their website. I wrote about this and Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. They put it on their website, and so this program director from Kentucky writes in. He goes, hey man, I'm sorry to disagree with you, but I was in Washington D.C. last year for the National Public Radio, convention of program directors, and yeah, when I left my hotel room, a bunch of black people came up, punched me in the face, started laughing, and ran away. So that game exists. So it makes it even stranger that reporters are victims of all this black violence, and they're in such denial. I mean, you would think getting your ass kicked would kind of kick you out of denial. No, but that's how strong the denial, deceit, and delusion is, even when your camera is stolen. Even when somebody robs you at gunpoint, even when somebody beats the piss out of you, almost kills you, even when you become the victim of a knockout game, you still just go back to your newsroom and say, well, fellas, what's on the agenda today? How much can we remind people about white racism and how black people are relentless victims of it? So let's get to it, fellas. We got lots of awards to win, as long as we don't make any black kids angry.